Hi everyone and welcome to my channel Acres of Art. Today I want to bring to you a tutorial on how to make these beautiful beaded bracelets. So this is quite a simple technique, just kind of plaiting around the beads, which I really enjoy. It's a nice easy one to start off with if you're just learning how to wrap, and it focuses on the beads quite nicely, which is great. So the one I'm holding right now is rose quartz, and I've used a copper wire. Then we have here a citrine bead, which is kind of like an amber, but it's much cheaper. Amber can be quite hard to get, so citrine is the closest you can get, and it's still really pretty kind of bead, and I've made that one in silver. And then this one is using an absolutely beautiful peacock tiger's eye bead, and this comes in all sorts of different colors. So this one's actually kind of multicolored and using silver again. And the one I'm wearing today is antique bronze, and what I've done is I've alternated between a malachite bead and a chrysocolla, and it's just really effective with the green and the antique bronze go really nicely together. So what I want to do today is I'm going to show you how to make one of these, but I'm going to use some amethyst beads. These are 6mm. I think all of the beads I used are 6mm in these because it seems to work better. If you can use 8mm, but as you get bigger, it just gets a bit more clunky. So I think that 6mm is quite a good size to use. And what I usually use is a 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to use a silver wire with this because I think the amethyst and silver just go really beautifully together. You can possibly use an 18 gauge, but as it gets thicker, it gets harder to twist around, and it's not quite as neat. So I think 20 gauge works really well. The other thing you're going to need is some fastenings. You can make your own, but I've found that sometimes they kind of come undone. If you just make a little loop and hook it through, it doesn't work so well. So I like to just buy these little attachments so that they definitely stay together. And what you need as well is a couple, maybe 1 or 2 little jump rings. These ones are a little bit too big, but you can actually cut them down and make them to the size that you actually want them. So that's what we're going to use today. The tools that we use, we don't need too many, because I'm not going to be squashing things down and flattening them down with the pattern. We need our cutters to cut the length of wire, and then really it's just using the wrapping. And you might need a square, your square pliers towards the end as we're doing the finishings, and there is a possibility that you'll need a round nosed pliers as well, just to do a little loop on the end, but we might not need them. I just like to have everything prepared just in case, but there's a possibility that we'll only use a couple today. So I don't always measure, but I can show you now the mistake of not measuring things. So I do have a tape measure as well, because what I've figured out with this one is it actually needs to be approximately 32 centimeters of wire to create this piece, because I made this one first and I actually thought I had enough, and I couldn't finish it. So I actually had to add a couple of extra loops in the end here. And this one only has 13 beads, which I'm not a fan of. So I might have to make it again. I don't know. But what I found out really is you need between 14 to 15 beads and 32 centimeters of wire, so that you don't then have to add these little extra loops. But actually it doesn't look bad at all. It doesn't matter if you have to add a few extra loops. It's just easier if you make sure you cut the right length. So got my tape measure, and I'm going to start by measuring my first piece of wire, and we need 5 strands for this. So because what we do is you have a central piece that doesn't actually move. So it's a bit like a plait, but we're not moving the central piece that we feed the beads onto. We're just wrapping the other bits around. So I've got my first length of wire, and then I can move my tape measure and I just measure against the wire I've just cut. So make sure we've got 5 strands. You want to make sure that they're quite nice and straight. We don't want lots of kinks in the wire before we begin. And I'll just measure my 5 lengths 4 and last one. Measure our last piece, and there we go. Just gonna move that out the way. So what I do to start off with, make sure that they're quite nice and straight. We don't want it all to be kinky, but we are gonna be making it that way and twisting it. But I want to just start off by giving this a little bit of a twist at the end, because I want to make sure I leave enough at the end to finish it off. So I don't want it all coming apart, but I don't want to do too much to mess up the wires. So to start with, I want 2 over one side and 2 over the other, and this nice straight central piece, which we're going to feed all of our pieces onto. And I'm just going to give this a little bit of a twist around to start off with. So I'm just going to cross these over like this, just to start off with. And then I'm going to feed my first bead, which I've just dropped. I'm going to pick up another one. I'm good at this. It's quite fiddly when you're trying to do it one-handed. And I'm going to feed my first bead onto the wire like that. Now what I want to do is I want to take these 2 that are at the top here and bring it around the side of the bead and over the top of our central wire. And then the other 2, I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. I'm going to bring it around the side. And so I'm encasing the bead in the wire. And then I'm going to bring that back under really nice and tight, as tight as I can make it. Pull it around. So I'm holding quite tightly to this bead so that I can bring a firm, tight fold around the wire. So as I go along, I'm using exactly the same technique for each one, and I want to make sure that they're spaced out fairly evenly and nice and tightly put together. So now I've got my first one, I can actually put that down, don't need to hold it quite as tightly. I'm going to pick up my next bead, and there we go, feed my next bead on, and using exactly the same technique, I'm just going to give this a little twist at the end so it doesn't come undone. I'm going to wrap that around that side of the bead, this one around there, and then exactly the same again, really nice and tight. Try and pull it as tightly as you can, pulling them back around each other like so. Ooh. Want to make sure that this one in the center stays as straight as we can make it. So let me just bring that under there like so. So the ones on either side end up back in the place that they started. So as you can see, we're starting off exactly the same kind of pattern as we go along, and I'm going to add the next bead. So we need to use the same technique here all the way along for up to 14 beads until we run out of wire at the end, and then I can show you how to finish it. So again, pulling that nice and tightly across the top and then bringing them under each other so that they end back where they started. Now if it starts to hide the bead a little bit, you can just push it back down like so. But I try to make sure that the spacing is basically the same between each one. And add the next one. As I said, once you get the rhythm of this, it's quite a quick and easy one to make, but really effective and really pretty. So wrap that under and that one under. And there we are, got 4 beads added. So I'm just going to keep going. Same technique every time. Kind of plaiting and bringing that you have to pull quite tightly with this. It's a bit tough on the fingers, this one. And carry on. So we've got 5 beads added so far. Bring that over. See, I hold the bead in place so then I can pull this really nice and tightly, and then under and under. And you can see what pattern you've made before, so you can try and keep it the same as we go along. The next one. And pull like so. Wrap it under and under. Here we are. And we're starting to get the formation of our bracelet. What you could do, if you wanted to, is have that as your central piece and then do a really pretty wrap on either side. So you don't have to do it just these beads all the way along, but this is just a really nice finish to it. Right, oh, I do like dropping them today, don't I? Hopefully I've still got enough left. All fingers and thumbs, as they say. Right, add my next one, wrapping it around and under and under. How many have we got? We've got 8 on now, so a few more to go. Hopefully we've got enough wire. We should do, because I've made it with 32 centimetres every time, apart from the first one. What I love about this amethyst is you can see they're all different shades, so it just creates a really nice effect. They don't all have to be exactly the same, which is lovely. Add the next one on. Wrapping around. Still pulling really nice and tight. Don't want it to come loose. Have the beads sliding around. 10. Right, we've got 10, so we've got 4 more to go. I have got just enough beads, even though I keep dropping them, so that's great. And I will show you how to finish it off at the end. You don't have to finish it the same way that I do, but I just think it's quite nice and simple, but you can finish it however you like, really. Three more to go. We should have just enough at the end to wrap around and do a nice finish. That goes under. Have just enough. Right. 2 more to add now. We're just going to have enough wire. You can see I'm coming right down to the last little bits. We should have just enough to add this on. Now you're trying to find the hole. Right. Under and under. Yes. Right. 1 more to add. I'm just going to count up again just to make sure that I have 14. As I said, that is quite a good size, but if you need to make it a little bit bigger, just add a little bit of extra length to your calculations and add another bead on. So I've got a tiny bit of left on this side. I'm just going to check. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 beads. That's perfect. So now we're going to finish this off. See how pretty and effective that is, and it's a very simple wrap, really. So it's really a good one to start off with. So I'm going to feed this little catch onto the end and just give this a twist. You want a little bit of space between the end of the bracelet and the end of the beads, just to lengthen it a little bit. I just squeeze that down. I don't want to squeeze it too tightly because I want this to still move. Let me bring that back, straighten that up. And then these little bits at the end, we're just going to wrap around. These are going to get hidden. So we're just going to wrap this a couple of times until those ends have gone. These are too long, so I'm just going to cut those a bit shorter. And the same with this one. I'm just going to cut it down. So we don't want all of that length wrapping around the end to finish it off. So I'm just going to wrap this right the way down to the end of the wire, like so. And you just want to make sure that you've tucked all the ends in so it's not going to cut anyone or hurt them, or there's any spiky bits left over. I'm literally just wrapping them around and giving them a nice little squeeze because it's still quite a nice finish to the end of the bracelet. And then I'm going to very gently curve this around to start forming the shape of our bracelet. What we want to do is just check. Oh, the end's just fallen off. That's not very good, is it? Add another one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little loop on this one because it seems to have broken. These things happen, can't be helped, but I can fix it, which is good. So I'm just going to add a jump ring on, which I've done there, so that I can actually put this catch. There we go. I don't know why that broke. That's very strange. So let's just close that off. The good thing is that we don't need to panic and think that we can't fix it, because we can. We can just add a little jump ring and then I've fixed it. We've added that extra. So what I need to do is just finish off the other end. So I'm just going to check how long I want this to be. So yeah, I can cut some of this off the end. We don't need quite that much length here. So what I'm going to do now is I didn't wrap it too hard around because I actually want to undo it a little bit. Make sure that that's nice and tight. And what I'm going to do is untangle myself, because this is all going to get wrapped around and tucked away, and some of it will be taken off. So I'm just going to wrap this one around the end here just to give that a nice firm finish there. And I'm going to find the most central one, which I think will be that one. These ones are a little bit too long, so we can cut off these ends, and we're just going to do exactly the same thing really, is we're just going to tuck away all the bits that we don't need. So just to finish this off, I'm going to straighten that one up, and I'm going to add my little jump ring. Now, as I said to you before, I think this one's a little bit too big. I don't want it to be quite that size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where the entrance, like where the close is, and I'm just going to cut a little bit of that off, and then I'm going to squeeze it together and create a new circle that's just slightly smaller, just like that. And then I'm going to close it off again as it was before. And I'm going to add it to here. And then, same as we did on the other end, I'm just going to squeeze that down, and I'm going to wrap the ends away. Just tuck all the ends away, basically. So if you want to, you can cut some of them off. They don't need to be that long, but I just think it's easier just to finish it off, wrapping all these pieces around. Sorry, I just might have gone off screen then because I brought it to my face so I could see what I was doing. So all of these ends just need to wrap until they disappear. I'm just going to squeeze that a little bit to make that a little bit shorter. Finish it off by wrapping all these ends over. I'm just going to bring it off the board a minute just so I can see what I'm doing, just to finish it off. It's not easy to see when I'm holding it under the camera. I'll bring it back for you in a minute to show you the finished bit. So I just want to make sure that I'm squeezing and tucking away these ends so they're not going to cause any problems. Right, I can bring it back to the board now so you can see that we finished that off. So it's got our little tag on it. It's all tucked away. Everything is finished. I can attach that to create the bracelet. I can try. This is what happens. I've got very short nails. It makes it difficult. There we go. And we're done. There is our beautiful silver and amethyst beaded bracelet that is just kind of plaited around. I'll bring these ones back in. Look, there we go. Got lots of lovely silver ones looking beautiful, and our little copper one, and obviously the one I'm wearing, my antique bronze. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I got a little bit fiddly towards the end there, but we can all finish off our bracelets however we like. But these ones I think just look really nice and simple. There's the amethyst one we just made, and we're all done. So that should take you, once you get a little bit faster, about 15 to 20 minutes to create a really pretty bracelet. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please do subscribe, keep watching, hit the like button, and I'll catch you again soon. Thanks.